beautiful brand new day, a brand new week we begin, and we're happy to be here to serve you on AM Ghana. My name is Reginald Addy, and this is definitely the place to be. Anytime you wake up on not Monday, every weekday, because we're here to give you information and news updates. And on this note, let me say a big thank you to Nanya Collison, who was taking us through the AM news updates. Well, today we'll be taking you through a series of conversations as usual, and always be reminded that the conversation or the discussion is always interactive. You can join us right about now as we're streaming live on Facebook. So if you have to leave your homes, do not worry, just pick up your phones, and whilst you board the tractors and the taxis, or even if you're driving, you can still join in the conversation. Send your comments, thoughts, and feedback through Facebook engagement. You can also send your thoughts and comments through our WhatsApp line, which is always there at the base of your television. That's set. It's 8th November 2021, and I'll still remind you, what have you achieved far as those New Year resolutions you made last year as concerned? And I always bring this up because we are getting to that point in time where you would revisit your New Year resolutions. However, I am gearing myself towards the Yuletide season, only that I fear for our drivers on the highways who are speeding up only to take advantage of the hustle and the bustle in town and the increasing numbers in the Greater Accra region. We hope and pray that the National Road Safety Authority, as well as some other or all other institutions that have been set in place to ensure safety on our roads, would do us a very good service this morning and moving forth. Well, I'm joined in by my very own sweetheart, my AM Ghana sweetheart. Yeah, I would say I'm not even done. Julia, good morning and welcome to AM Ghana. How are you doing?
I am blessed. And I think now you will enjoy hearing me say that, but I am blessed and highly favored. How are you doing yourself?
Well, let me say same. It's the same grace, it's the same favor, it's the same blessing that has kept me over the weekend. On Friday, I got to my junction, and it was a sad sight. It was a sad sight, you know, when students of the Christian Methodist Senior High School had to, cross rivers. Initially, they would have been crossing roads, but when the road turns to become a river, then you can safely say that the students had to cross a river to the other point of the road. And this is the same road that I have advocated severally for a footbridge. Now, footbridges do not only serve, to reduce fatalities on the road, but also helps, especially in times like this. Imagine if there was a footbridge, would these students have to, cross rivers, to the other point of the intersection? Let me say kudos to the cadet boys of the Christian Methodist Senior High School, the cadets of the school. Kudos to you. They took it upon themselves to guide their colleagues through. Cadets guys are usually the strong ones. Exactly. That was yeah. Krimetu, Christian Methodist, and let me say this, that Krimetu has suffered the repercussions of rain ever since it was at Circle. Even now that they have moved to a place that is supposed to be a safe haven for them, they are still suffering the repercussions of the rain. But I believe that Christ is with them because it's a Christian Methodist institution, and by the grace of God, we didn't record any casualty. But it is sad that, in times like this where people find joy and solace in, committing any form of crime or going about anything just to raise money, and these students have decided to go the prescribed way, they have to be going through such discouragement. Because if I have to go to school and at the end of the day, when it rains, I have to put myself through such hazards just to get home. And I saw some of the comments that people put up on the story out there, and it saddens me People would want to throw insults on the students. People would want to say that they should wait for the waters to recede. Do you know what time the water is going to recede? Do you know the duties that these children have? Where would they be? And somebody said that they should have stayed somewhere until the water receded. What happened at Circle when people decided to stay under a shed? What happened to them? Do you know what will happen the next moment? Well, how right would it be, or how wrong would it be for these students to ensure that they get home so that their parents wouldn't worry? It is sad, but this is how my weekend started. And yesterday as well, it rained, and my road has divided into two. I'll say less of this. Julia,
Where do you stay?
I stay in the Botiano English Yamam from constituency. And yes, this is one of those very very huge constituencies, because if you hear the name Botiano English Yamam, from a combination, and hitherto there were other areas that were also part of the Botiano English Yamam from constituency. And I think that for whoever the member of parliament is, let me say a very good morning to Mr. Sylvester Tete, Honorable Sylvester Tete, Member of Parliament for Botiano English Amman from constituency. On Friday, students in your constituency had to cross rivers, and you should see unknown rivers that emanate anytime it rains, and you should see how scared they were, especially the girls. And people were asking why they were screaming and all that. I don't know what you expect people to do when they are scared or when they are frightened. Good morning to you once again, and I hope that as we are seeing excavators in the area, something will be done about it, because actually the rain is washing all the gravels that you have come to put over there. So we should see to it.
I don't want to steer too far away from the subject matter, but Domi Kwabenya.
Oh yeah, I saw it. I saw the pictures.
My mom actually took a video. She was in the market.
Oh, okay.
The water was up to here.
Yeah.
She was like, that's the second time she's witnessed this. And Friday's downpour was not even it wasn't an extended period. It was just a short period. And it was very bad.
So what is happening actually when you look at we will take you through the newspaper headlines, obviously, but when you go through some other newspapers that we might not present over here, I take delight in going through newspaper headlines anytime I wake up in the morning. One of those newspapers had recorded that there is a basic problem on our roads right now. Apart from the the gutters that are being choked, there is another infrastructural problem on our roads, and that is the median of our roads and the shrubs that have grown over there. And this is supposed to be a place for beautification. This is a place where ornamentals are supposed to be grown. It also serves as a preservative for the road as well, so that for future expansions, there can be some space that can be picked out from there. However, it has become, a norm. You go all the way from Legon, then all the way through some principal streets of some principal areas of the N1, from La Paz onwards. You get to the Accra Winneba Highway, and then it's the same situation. Now, year of roads, we are still in the year of roads, and you go just here. I'm pointing just here because viewers, where our studio is situated, when you go just across the street over here, in between the now GRA office and the city car park, the road over there, now it has turned into what we cannot describe. It has turned now when cars are passing, they have to use the pavement where pedestrians are also moving along just to get to the other side of the road. And you go to other places and the road is just becoming something else. This is High Street too. High Street, Accra Central.
So you don't have options.
Well, Julia, okay, if you say we'll talk about this thing in Senyangwe, so viewers, do stay with us. We'll go for a quick turnaround. When we come back, we'll take you through the newspaper headlines. I've already given you some headlines that are not here with us, but we'll give you more when we return from this break. Do stay tuned. You're watching AM Ghana.
Welcome aboard the safest airline in Africa. with industry-leading safety measures to protect your well-being. The first in Africa to earn a diamond standard of safety. Offering a more contactless, safe, and seamless experience. Delivered with a smile by Africa's first fully vaccinated crew. Creating special memories that bring the joy back to flying, so you can continue making memories with your loved ones. Book your flight with RwandAir today. RwandAir, the safest airline in Africa.
RwandAir, fly the dream of Africa. Announcements on Adoatv. Contact Adoatv for your general announcements, proclamations and publications, job vacancies, etc. at a very affordable rate. Call 05092577754, 02094944258, or visit our marketing desk at Stepwork premises. Adoatv, bringing good things to life.
CB makeup snarl. I'm a go correct. Why your best mancasa? That's it. Who anyone? Oh, middle. You captures about one CB makeup sauce. Missy CB makeup sauce and I make a year.
Yeah, you see men and women's capsules now. You knew the dada. And 1 year packaging I had the pepper.
Wow! What a packaging! CB men, any CB women capsules, no packaging is out. And you also no mood any bias and walk out of piggy.
Share a painful, any about town, Mount Padano for any Padano and come home.
Susanna, Ghana, man, Tamasi.
Dodo Afre 0247 111671 and 0246 578 750. FDA aje edwedin kato yato.
Welcome back after that short break. We did promise you that we were going to take it off with the newspaper headlines. And there's a gentleman here who is quite, behaving like one on drugs with the news headlines. He just can't wait to delve into it. So, and Adi, Mr. Adi, Honorable Adi, hit it.
Well, thank you very much, Angelia, and I wonder where that introduction came from. But yes, I can't wait to give you the newspaper headlines. The fact that I took para on Saturday doesn't mean that I'm high on drugs. Daily Graphic here, November 8th, 2021. Graphic Wings Media Organization of the Year Award again. Graphic Wings Media Organization of the Year Award again. And the story is on page 16 of the Daily Graphic. So we have a picture here. Mr. Adoatv, third from the left, Managing Director of the Graphic Communications Group Limited, applauding after his team had received the Media Organization of the Year Award last Saturday. Picture was taken by Mr. Maxwell Okulu. Another story on page 16 again. GMA advocates driver education against crashes. So the story on page 16 of the paper. On pages 32 and 49, ECOWAS appoints Shamba's special envoy to Guinea. The big story here, 2022 pre-budget survey. Support SMEs to grow. KPMG is indicating support SMEs to grow, says KPMG. See the story on page 3, a continuation on page 3 from the front page of the Daily Graphic. The back page has sports. Kotoko saying Bechem United at Baba Yara Stadium. Kotoko saying Bechem United at Baba Yara Stadium. Legon Cities peep RTU 3-2. Legon City's PEEP RTU 3 and 2. And that's it for sports on the back page of the Daily Graphic. As usual, it's a heavy one at the Daily Graphic on a Monday. Has some stories on the in the center spread. It's a news feature. It speaks about COP26. COP26. Why Ghana's still voice needs loud response. Why Ghana's still voice needs loud response. And our president over there. Okay, let me quickly take a read into this highlights of the key positions of the Ghanaian delegation to the COP 26 Conference of Parties. It is Conference of Parties 26 to source for funding to implement and upskill adaptation measures in the agricultural sector and build resilient farmers. Doesn't say too much, but obviously cannot read through all of the features in there. There are other interesting stories here in the yes. Now this is coming from Gridco. Gridco says that national security to eject squatters under transmission lines. Gridco came out over the weekend. They said that you should not settle under the grid lines. In the same vein, Gridco has also put out a picture of a fine gentleman whom is said to be wanted by the grid company, electricity grid company, Ghana Grid Company. Yes, not electric, Ghana Grid Company. And if you know his whereabouts, please help the Gridco to find him and, if possible, get to the end of these matters. ECG inaugurates at the dominant Abo customer service centers, and we are growing in terms of electricity and electric supply. Well, grab a copy of the Daily Graphic, read the stories in there, be informed, be updated. Let's call it a sum and jump to my dear.
Yes, we're jumping onto the Daily Guide, and this is what the Daily Guide has to say. CRI wins NGO of the year. NGO, not Nana JC, yeah, not that one, but the non-governmental organization of the year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and CRI is a child rights. It's a non-governmental organization that deals with protecting children's rights, and they win NGO of the year. So we have a picture of the I don't know what title, whether CEO or whatever, but that's Mr. Bright Frimpong there. All right, Director or President of CRI, Mr. Bright Appiah. But the screaming headline here says MPs dodge Parliament. MPs dodge Parliament. We have pictures of the Honourable Speaker, Alban Bagbane. We also have of Honourable Oseiche Mensah Bonsu. Also of Haruna Indriso, and I'm sure there is more on that story, and it continues on page 3. So we are told some key members of parliament, and actually a big number which could not allow for a quorum, and because of that, sitting was impossible. It was impossible for them to make a decision. It was impossible for them to hold many meaningful discussion because of a clause. I don't know if you've heard of that one. Something to do with one of their clauses. The actual story is on page 3, right here, and order 48, subsection 2. Yes, that if at the time of sitting a member takes okay, I think I'll go a little up. It says that the presence of at least 1/3 of all the members of parliament, that's a clause 1, all members of parliament besides the person presiding shall be necessary to constitute a quorum of the house. We're talking about that there were 43 members, only 43 members in the house as at that moment, and there were supposed to be 1/3, which is 92 people. So they were below the quorum, and because of that, Parliament had to be adjourned.
Exactly.
Right,
I would have
so
wanted to wade into it, but I think that you've touched on it. It's in the standing orders of parliaments that, yeah, for a quorum to be formed, there must be at least one third of the members of parliament seated. And where you have less, obviously, you cannot form a quorum.
Only
Decisions
43.
cannot be made. And I wonder why.
So we couldn't even get one third.
There must be strict reform. So you ask yourself, where are members of parliament? Where are they? What are they doing? Is it because of the mixture of roles that some of them, are also serving as substantive ministers, for which reason they sometimes cannot find themselves in there? Now, remember as well that the president had not been in the country, and in that he had also left with some members of parliament who also double as substantive ministers regarding, environmental protection, the interior, amongst others. So, they are all gone, and you have some deficits in there. Now, the remaining who are here as well, what are they doing? Where are they? Or perhaps the rains have destroyed their roads such that they can't get to Parliament.
The rains came later.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I just wanted to find out.
Anyway, I have two more stories here on the front page. Yes, protect consumers. President charges PURC to protect consumers, and we do have the president with some board members of the Public Utility Regulatory Commission right there. They were at the Jubilee House. The story that actually, I think this weekend, it's been a bad or a sad story. It's of the SHS student that was attacked, stabbed to death by some of his mates.
Not his mates, but his seniors.
His seniors, okay. SHS, I want to read that. I want to read that in full, and the story is on page 6. I'll go a little fast on it. So a first-year student of the Konongo Odumase Senior High School in the Ashanti region has allegedly been stabbed to death by a colleague student. So that's what I should have said. Colleague student right on campus. And it has resulted in the arrest of 5 other students who are now being held as suspects. The deceased, Samuna Lahan, I hope I got that right, 17 years, a first-year student, was trying to rescue his colleague first-year student, who was then being harassed by some second-year students, and in the process, he was stabbed in the lower rib area by Emmanuel Osei Frimpong, aka Tupac. The incident occurred in the school around 8:30 p.m. on Friday, leading to the arrest of suspects Emmanuel Osei Frimpong, Amua Kwesi Kakari, aka, and I don't want to mention, aka Demon, Kwame Afrane Senior, Kwame Afrane Junior. Okay, so brothers in the plot, and Obed Ejay, who are all second-year students. A police report is closed that a blood-stained sharp knife that the key suspect, Tupac, 17, allegedly used to stab the first-year student has been retrieved by the police as exhibit. A police report said the 5 students who are in House 1 dormitory in the school, after prep on Friday, ganged up and went to House 3 to bully some first-year students. They first attacked Kwame Boampong Menu, aka Network, and assaulted him. The suspects then moved to the mini market and grabbed one of the Form 1 students by name Prince Amwaku in an attempt to molest him. The other first-year students resisted and rescued Amwaku. Their action annoyed suspect Emmanuel Osei Frimpong, who rushed on one of the first-year students in an attempt to slap him, and he was stopped by the deceased. The annoyed student, suspect Frimpong, who brought out a small kitchen knife concealed on him and stabbed the deceased at his left lower ribs. Samuna Lahan bled profusely and was rushed to Konongo Odumase Government Hospital, but was pronounced dead on arrival. The police report said, adding that calm had been restored to the school. So the body has since been deposited at Stewart's Hospital morgue at Yakwe, I hope I got that correct, for preservation and autopsy, the report concluded. So that is the story thus far on the SHS students of Konongo.
The Daily Guides report is a true account of what happened. If the narrator, who is also a staff of the school, is right in the narration. And I understand that after the entire incident, the police were sent there to, maintain calm and also to accept any form of uprising that may turn out. Usually it's always like sects, the juniors against the seniors. And I must say that in senior high schools, there is this culture of junior boys, succumbing to seniors. And it has, over the years, morphed into what we perceive as a compulsory, it's a culture in senior high schools that when you go, look, the seniors are seniors, they are there. And so you just have to respect them. And it's part of the training in that it is these same seniors who are appointed house prefects whatsoever, so that they would stay in administration and see to, the proper running of the dormitories and other sectors of the school. So it is not out of order that a senior would instruct a junior boy. That same senior has gone through training that he came to meet, and it is just right that they impact the same training onto the junior boys. But unfortunately, they say that if you want to realize the real power of a person, if you want to realize the real attitude of a person, give them power and money. In this case, not money, but power by the perception that seniors are ultimate in schools, usually trickle into these form of bullying. Bullying has become a norm in our senior high schools, so much such that in some schools, when the junior boys go and report, they are rather seen as recalcitrant students who are refusing to succumb to authority, and they are rather the ones who are punished. And so it so happens that these junior boys usually find it difficult to go and report.
Okay.
Another thing is that when you report and action is taken on a senior, the entire sect of seniorship or the entire sect of seniors
will pick you.
They'll put you on their radar.
Yeah.
And your life may become miserable on campus if you do not take care. But I must say kudos to some schools that have tried very hard, especially those boys schools or those single sex schools, not boys schools alone, but girls schools as well. So I say single sex schools that have put measures in place such that if you are found bullying a junior in any way, or if you are found infringing on the right of a junior in any way, you will be sacked outrightly. Some schools do not tolerate this at all.
Yes,
and so the issue about bullying and a junior boy, in some schools, form ones go to school and they run away from the school because they cannot stand the seniors. Now, this is an environment that is supposed to be conducive enough for people to want to learn, for people to want to stay, such that when they leave the school, they will take good news out of the school, to the outside world, for people to also want to come in. But unfortunately, this thing is going on in some schools, and sometimes because of the laziness on the part of some staff members, they leave everything in the hands of the students. So when a junior boy goes to report the senior, it becomes a problem, and they rather tag you as a disobedient student. And then they catch you say you end up being punished. And so this is what has happened. And I think that the school Konongo or the Master Senior High School is one of the those very good schools in the Ashanti region. I'm saying this because I have witnessed and bore personal relationship with some of the students or products of the school. And I say they are intelligent people. The school is on point. And until recently, cause has not been in the news for any bad deed whatsoever. Well, let me take this opportunity to express our condolences to the family of the bereaved. I know how it feels when you send your ward to school and news of their death comes back home, when you're actually expecting news of their presence during vacation. I'm saying this because I bear a similar experience when Mustafa, may so rest in peace, died at one of the blogs when teachers were chasing students in an event where, you know, I don't want to take us back to times like that. I know how it feels, especially when Mustafa's parents came into the school to speak to us. You could tell their countenance were so down. So our condolences with the family, and we pray that God strengthens you. His very good friends who were around him. I am trying to imagine what the boy who the deceased came in to save would be feeling right now. It would be a sad moment for him. And for those 5, aka demon, how? Now a demon cry and a demon. You see, they say that the names that we put on ourselves, they live by us and they follow us.
Yeah.
How can you go to school and pick a name like demon when people are picking names like network? It would say network now, demon. Anyways, I pray that the law deals with them. These are juveniles under the law. They fall within the juvenile sect, and I pray that the law deals with them. But we should bear in mind also that the fact that they fall within that category does not mean that the law will not deal properly with them. It's just that they seclude them and deal with them in the manner of their age and perhaps act whatsoever. May the Lord take its full course on this matter, and may schools also see to it that this form of bullying and whatever
we will actually have a phone call discussion with one Adam later on this particular issue, but divine pay on this particular issue. And my concern also has to, I know this has happened in school, but it does not write off the duties of parents. Parents are shunning some of their responsibilities as well. We know that they do get difficult, or let me say we do get difficult when we are around that age. Yes, but my question is, what would a student like that be doing with a knife? Why would you have a knife on you? Well, so Divine Faith will be here to discuss on this particular issue and on further issues as well later. But I will want to finish wrapping up on Daily Guide. Yeah, the back page. Police and GFA talk about sports security. And we have a picture of Ket Okreku there with the IGP and Kofi Boache. Also a picture of Captain Ganius celebrating after Kotoko's lead. So yes, not just a lead, but they had victory. Yeah, and there are some scores down there. We have Shevchenko gets is it Genoa or Genoa job, whichever one it is. His picture is there, and the graphic is, I mean, that daily guide is there for your read. So buy it, delve into it, and digest every part of it. That's how I wrap up for the daily guide.
Well, let's jump into the most authoritative newspaper, the Ghanaian Times. ECOWAS condemns terrorist attack in Mali. ECOWAS condemns terrorist attack in Mali. Well, over the weekend there was a blasting in Mali, and many have lost their lives, with many others also being severely injured. We pray God's grace on you. On page 7, CII adjudged CIMG not-for-profit making organization of the year 2020. Government launches manual on community mining scheme initiative. The story is on page 16 of the Ghanaian Times, and the big story here: 600 residents rendered homeless as tidal waves wreak havoc again. Stories on page 17. Tidal waves sweep through Adina, Amutinu, Blekusu in Ketu South municipality. Now, in that municipality, the residents, I've spoken about students, this thing is still bothering you. The residents are dwelling in between a lagoon and the sea in itself. Now, the same Cater South municipality has suffered the impact or the effect of tidal waves severely over the years. They have cried several times for sea defense projects. Some years past, there were projects ongoing. I don't know what the state of those projects are currently, but these people are torn between this small island that they dwell in. And on most occasions, the lagoon area would have been a safe haven for them. However, when the tidal waves, shores up, it becomes a problem. When the tide is high, it becomes a problem for them. And usually the tide goes high when at such times when they are asleep late in the midnight, and so they wake up most of the times to their TVs and other gadgets floating, and sometimes even their beds will be floating. They'll be thinking that they are having a good dream, only to wake up and realize that they are floating on water. So as it stands currently, the people in the, especially those in Amutinu, they've brought out all of their properties and placed them on the roads. Yes, the road in there as well is dividing into two. It's sad. It's sad. I mean, there is a picture here of a resident coming out of a flooded room, and you should see the height of the water. May their needs be attended to. It's sad. Well, now a lecturer at the University of Ghana has said that research should be conducted into the settlement to ascertain whether it would be feasible to move them or provide that sea defense projects in order to ensure that they are safe. May we attend to them. They are also Ghanaians. The saddest part is that during elections, we go there to solicit their votes. But once those votes have been cast, forget them. They don't matter. The back page of the Ghanaian Times has some sports, most authoritative newspaper sports, or GT sports if you want to call it. Chelsea and 11 wonders share spoils. That's the story at the back page. Legon cities overcome Real Tamale United RTU in a 3-2 win for Legon cities. Kotoko beat Bichim United to go top. And that's for the back page of the Ghanaian Times. ECOWAS condemns terrorist attack in Mali. The details are on the center spread. Government launches manual on community mining initiative. That detail is also here. It spans from the front page, and all the stories on the front page can be found in detail on the center spread. Let's call it a sum for the most authoritative one.
And a Daily Statesman has this to say: 5 students in police custody over murder of colleague. And I think we've spoken at length over this. But government committed to quality education, and that's coming from our VIP. Yes, Dr. Baumia assures that indeed the government is doing, that is the Nana Addo Dankwa, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo-led administration is committed to investing in provision of educational tools and infrastructure to ensure quality and relevant teaching and learning. He said in line with this, the government had embarked on over 3,000 various educational infrastructure projects, including dormitories, classrooms, dining halls, etc., etc. And he also touched on social vices. I don't know if it was in lieu of what actually happened to the SHS students of the Konongo school, but he also touched on it. So social vices, it's right here, and we will speak on it later. As we said, the last news article here says President meets ECOWAS leaders over Guinea and Mali. You heard about the blast in Mali. We also know about the coup in Guinea. So meetings or discussions are still being held over it. So we have a picture of President Akufo-Addo with some ECOWAS heads of state on the front page. And you know that the Daily Statesman likes to cover stories when it comes to sports on boxing. I think they love boxing. So we do have Saul Alvarez beats Caleb plant in Las Vegas to create boxing history. That's for boxing lovers. I stopped following boxing. I think the last time I saw someone bleeding after being, the person he just kept punching. I said, I'm not doing this ugly sport again. So
it's not an ugly sport.
For me, it's bloody. I didn't like it. So
yeah.
It.
Sometimes, there's unfortunate events. It happens in football as well. Yeah, there are accidents.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things. I think that that is why referees are put in there to see to it.
But we know that when it comes to football, they are there to chase after one ball. But
because I'm not good with soccer, I almost became a boxer. Yeah.
Thank God for the reformation. Whoever advised you, God bless that soul. I don't know if you would have become a casualty.
But I have such prowess.
Yeah. So speaking of football,
it would have been a game changer.
Ignore that one.
It would have been a game changer.
So Barca surrender 3-goal lead to draw with Gelato. Oh, Celata. What I can't ask him because I know he doesn't laugh.
I'm a boxer. I'm not a footballer.
Yeah. He's a boxer. Okay, so that's a wrap for the Daily Statesman.
Well, let's move away from the Daily Statesman and let's look at the Chronicle, the True Independent. Mkondo Wesizwe, Spear of the Nation. We used to say Nkonto Wesizwe until we became South Africans in Ghana and understood that it's Mkondo Wesizwe. And so, yeah, you don't have a South African visa. So next time.
Actually, when I saw it,
so you say Mkondo. Mkondo. Okay, we'll do that practice after the show. Let me quickly take our viewers through on this one. Man, 38 years, jailed 20 years for attempting to sodomize a minor. Man, 38, jailed 20 years for attempting to sodomize minor. We have a picture of Collins Safo in a handcuff on the precinct of the Bekwai Circuit Court. And our society is intolerant. In fact, we do not accept such things, and so do not try, because once you are caught, the laws will deal with you. Gridco warns public: don't stay under transmission lines. Don't stay under transmission lines. See page 14 of the Chronicle for details into the story. Now, KMA uses 240,000 Ghana Cedi BRT cash to pay ex gratia. Mali sinking into crisis, ECOWAS told. The story is on page 14 of the Chronicle. Now, daring gunman shoots naval officer close to Michelle Camp and bolts with 800 Ghana cedis. Oh, now Becca. Oh, say it again. Anyways, in our Ga settings, we don't say oh, we say ow.
Ow.
Yeah.
Ga.
Yeah, a more local version of ouch. So talking about school times, I remember one of those days that my senior was, putting me in order for misbehaving and flouting a common order. And whilst he was
Continue.
Whilst he was at it, I was like, Ajay, and he kept beating me the more. Anytime I said Ajay, he said, say ouch. You don't say Ajay. I'm like, oh, really? So that became my third charge, actually. So in the Ghana setting, we say ow, a more localized version of ouch. Ow. Because they say I want you to say
so you did same too.
Yeah, I had to change the no. Every junior that has encountered me knows that I'm the type that will be like, hey, and then next time I'm laughing with you. That's just me. Sometimes
I'm a junior.
You're not a junior.
I wouldn't say that. Yeah.
If you're a junior, not to me, not in my school. Anyways, so that's the big story here. Daring gunman shoots naval officer close to Michelle Camp and bolts with 800 Ghana cedis. And sometimes when you think about the monies involved in crime, I'm not saying that it is justifiable if the money is huge or enough. You look at the recent alleged kidnapping case in Takrady again, and the suspect claims that she wanted to take 5,000 Ghana cedi from a
5,000 from the
relative. Meanwhile, at the initial point of faking her kidnap, she demanded 2,000 to this. You see, you look at the monies involved here, and you ask yourself, why? Why, put yourself at risk? Because when the law comes in contact with you, I mean, the law is in contact with everybody, but when you flout the law
and it grabs
and it
hold of
grabs you, you'll face the consequences.
And we
So
are
why
by
risk
no
6
means
years jail term?
we are by no means advocating that you go seek for bigger crimes.
No,
So
that
that
is not
when you
what.
are caught,
Not
that's
bigger
not what
crimes,
we're
not
saying.
bigger ransom. That's not what we are saying
That's
here
not what
at
we're saying
all.
at all. We're just saying that just do the right thing. Just do the right thing.
But
I don't know.
on the other side, I look at it and I realize that, look, I don't know if the rate of suffering in the country has
Has
become,
gone higher.
so severe, and people's situations have become so dire that, they do anything for any
The
meager
little
amount of
for 800 CDs.
800 cities to take a person's life. And they are daring, as the newspaper has put it, because to take a naval officer's life, the law will definitely catch up on you. A back page of the Chronicle: City win comfortably in Manchester Derby. Another one here: Smith Rowe seals victory for Arsenal. Mourinho's Roma shocked by Mino's Venezia. Neymar and Mbappe score in PSG win. Barcelona surrender 3-goal lead to draw with Celta Vigo. And that's for sports on the back page of the Chronicle newspaper. Let me quickly take the Bible quotation for today. So thank you, Chronicle newspaper. You listened to me, and you've at least put some ink at the blurred space in there. So today I can read a full verse without referring to Ijoma, who will be rushing me. Isaiah chapter 3, verse 11. Woe to the wicked, it will go badly with him, for what he deserves will be done to him. For what he deserves will be done to him. Woe to the wicked, it will go badly with him, for what he deserves will be done to him. Isaiah 3, verses 11. And we call that a psalm for the Chronicle newspapers. Remember, we told you that in line with the case of the killing of a student at Konongo Odomase Senior High School, we'll be speaking to a fraud and security consultant, Richard Kumado, on the lines. So as and when we get him, we'll intermit with the headlines, and then we'll go straight onto that one. So, Ijoma, whilst we wait on that, kindly take us through the last newspaper.
The last newspaper today. Okay, Mr. Kwe is on the line. Hello, Mr. Divine Pay. Good morning.
Good morning, madam.
How do you do, sir? How was your weekend?
Oh, weekend was okay. A restful one, of course. What of yours?
Oh, mine was. I mean, I can't complain. It was good. It was restful, and I had a whole day to praise God yesterday. So I'll say it was great. A great weekend.
That's good to hear.
Unfortunately, there was a rather sad news that we had to ponder over, and deliberations at home and anywhere that this particular story came up. I mean, it didn't spell any good news at all to anyone. We're talking about the SHS student that was stabbed to death.
Yeah.
I suppose you have the full details of it.
Sure.
Yeah, what do you have for us, especially when it comes to crime, and when it comes to has to deal with SHS students or our youth, our younger ones, teens?
All right. Thank you for having me, and good morning to your viewers. Indeed, indiscipline in our senior high school is actually increasing. We have been recording this for several years now, and it is on ascending rate. We're talking about students that can destroy their housemaster's farm properties, can burn down school, dormitories, classrooms, and vandalize school properties, built teachers' car, and for me, it is appearing we are helpless. But that shouldn't be it. And there's a need for us to take the bull by the horn and have a solution to this, because if our senior high school become a breeding ground for indiscipline, then the students we are producing to be future leaders for the country. And there's question about that. Because school is not just for knowledge acquisition. It should also transform morals. There should be values that should be inculcated as much as the knowledge is also important. Attitude is part of what teachers are trained to mold to the students for. And if these are not reflected in our students' moral fiber as they reflect in our society, then we all need to be concerned. So I received the news with sadness, and let me also express condolence to the family, and also appreciate the police for the action they've taken to take it as a criminal matter. Because I have always insisted, as much as you want students to receive education, if they are committed crimes, it should be treated as crime. And then when I heard of the arrest, that the students that are involved, the arrest, I was even hoping that they would extend it to students that have burnt down their school building. It's very important that when students are complicit in actions that can be described as crime, they should be treated as a criminal, in a criminal case. That should be done. We shouldn't treat them with kid gloves. Otherwise, the indiscipline will continue to fester. There will not be deterrent to other students. It will rather embolden them if it's nothing that their colleagues have seen that there has not been any action against their colleagues that have committed a crime. So it is very important that the police have taken this matter seriously. And I pray that going forward, similar cases, not only to the high degree felony like this, the infernal cases we are recording, vandalizing school properties, the students should be dealt according to law. That will help, because as I listen to teachers, they also appear to be helpless, because they are saying when they try to discipline the students, we see interference from high authority. And that's one thing I can talk about later.
All right, Mr. Kwe. I'm able to identify two causes from what you just said right now. That is that teachers remain helpless, or they claim to be helpless. And also you saying that when we are not able to treat these students who are engaged in crime as criminals, these things tend to, we other tend to advertise it, as in we encourage such behaviors. Would there be any other causes that perhaps from your position you see, but we maybe as ordinary citizens, as parents, as loved ones to some of these younger ones, you do not see, that you want to highlight for us?
Yeah, you look at the whole moral fiber of our society, you understand that there's a breakdown of moral issues. The family, the other moral society, including the religious organization. I think that what they should do, they are also relenting. Parents are also relenting to their duty towards their children. Students are becoming more violent. And it tells you that parenting is one of the challenges that we are having in the country. Parents are now more concerned about career more than the family, especially their born. And once they send them to senior high school or school, they think that the teachers will have to do the general work. But you can't leave the training of your student in the hand of a teacher solely. It's a collaborative work that you need to be play part as much as you collaborate with the teacher to play part. But I have seen that the family is neglecting on this duty as far as training of the children are concerned. And more so, we have to get to a point that where we have to realize that our schools also have to premium the fact that we need to preach more about what I call social emotional learning, because some of these issues, students need to learn how to manage their emotion. Students need to learn how to live in society. That's the concept of social emotional learning. You learn manage your emotion. When premiums that are put that at the center of our education, then that is how we be able to develop the heart of the child. Our education system is mostly about developing the brain of the child, and we neglect the affective domain, which we call the heart aspect. And I believe when we put social emotional learning at the center of our teaching, and we have a strategy to see how we factor that into our schools, we begin to consciously train our students in that aspect. Where we train students to be empathetic, we train students to be self-resilient, we train students to exercise patience, we train students to discipline themselves, we train students to be aware of actions and their consequences. That for every action there is a consequence thereof. When students are trained in such a way, then they take personal responsibility. Otherwise, if teachers want to do everything, like I want to regulate you, I want to cane you, I want to discipline you every minute for every action, it makes the way difficult for the teachers themselves. So how do we help our students to be self-regulators so that they can be in charge of their own life? That when they want to take action, they can take a pause and reflect on their actions before proceeding, mindful of the consequences of their action. That is the concept about social emotional learning, which is missing right away from our basic school or through the senior high school. And this is a concept that we also need to factor in. And there's high rate of bullying in our school because some of these issues are as a result. When I read the police statement, I understand that it was as a result of a second year student trying to bully that particular student, if I get it right. So school-based violence is increasing. Bullying, fighting, and all those kind of things are also increasing. So how do we also practice activities that our schools will be safer from such activities? That is very important. So both I'm so appreciative to because they said they are trying to collaborate with Ghana Education System so that they can modality where they can that the students more about violence in school. That is just one way of going about it. The teachers must also put in place actions that will promote safe school practices as much as the child will also develop their safe school activities that they can model their students and that will help to some extent.
Okay, yeah. I also believe, I mean, hearing you, I've had some form of belief and hope that with that in place, we will see a better environment in our SHS. I have with me here Reginald. I just want to give him the room if he has any questions. So,
all right. Well, Mr. Divine Prayer, good morning to you once again, and let me say a belated happy birthday to you. Yesterday was your birthday, and I want to request this nice song for you. It's
Okay.
an Orthodox hymnal. I would only read a few of the lyrics in there. It says, "Love
Okay.
divine, all loves excelling. Joy of heaven to earth come down." May the joy of heaven come down because of the good works that you do as a fraud and security consultant. And I pray that the joy of heaven would enter every trembling heart because of you. All right. I beg your pardon. You're an educationist, not a fraud.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes, an
yeah.
educationist. May the good works of the Lord may the good grace of the Lord come down onto your works. We are grateful for your relationship and all that you have done for us. Well, so Mr. Divine Pair, now I've wanted to find out. You realize that in discipline in the schools, GES has come out severally, or so we have heard, with directives about how students should be punished, the number of strokes, the type of punishment, amongst other things, and to some extent, banning of caning in schools. At some point, we heard about these things. Is this contributing to the level of indiscipline that we have in our senior high schools?
All right. Thank you. I'll say, there are intended consequences of every how do I put it, intended outcome in every policy implementation. And when we had the ban on caning and other forms of corporal punishment, it was for a good intention. But what I realized is that what we need to do to ensure that we can effectively implement the positive discipline toolkit that DX has teachers to be using. We have not put in the implementation strategy. We just issued out a ban on corporal punishment, especially the caning, which teachers have been accustomed to as the most mean or the appropriate mean of disciplining students. Our teachers have been so used to it, and if we want to depart from that, we have to appreciate that it has to be a gradual process, and then teachers will have to be accustomed to other best practices of discipline students before maybe we fail it totally. But now that teachers seems like we are used to taking the traditional meaning of disciplined student or a child, and then you are bringing in a new form which we don't know about. You say it's a positive discipline toolkit, but we don't even know how to go about it. The nature of something we are dealing with is even different. And we careless, because even if we touch the student, you are at the defensive side for the student. So we'll fold our arms. And that's what is happening at the Most students have folded their arms that are misbehaving. They do not mind them, because when they touch them, Jesus will come after them. That is a problem. What I know GS has not entirely banned caning in school. It has to be done appropriately so that you don't reach extreme to the extent of hurting the student. So there are instances that students can be caned anyway, but it's not something that general. So if we want to help our teachers to come out or use the positive toolkit, then we need more sensitization programs, continuous professional development programs on that aspect for them, so that it becomes part of them. Because what you want them to be using, they are not used to it. They put it on their arms. They're not using the approach you want them to be using. They say they want to use the cane. They say don't use the cane, use this one. They don't know how to go about that one. So they said no. And then let's put out, we don't care. They shouldn't use the cane, and what they want us to use, that one too, we don't know about it. It's something that will tell you they have gone to import from foreign land, other countries, the Western world, and you are bringing it. And of course, when you are implementing the policy, you put into consideration the context. Those people, Western people, they have started the positive discipline for so long, and they have the mechanism in place that would have supported the student. They have school counselors, effective ones, have school psychologists, effective ones that are helping the students all along. They have social emotional learning integrated in their teaching and learning process. So they have effective mechanisms that could help the students to take effect. So when you are bringing it into the country here, you should take into the context, and you will help your teachers to appreciate it. Come to a point that this is where we want to move on to our education system, where we gradually fade away the cane. When you see that your teachers have gradually buy into it, then it helps the situation. But when you want to kind of impose it to a new way of doing it on them, and they are not accustomed to them, now you see they have put their arms. So it's like it is GS against the teachers. We are leaving your students for you, and whatever you want to be done with them, do it yourself. We will not mind them. And you see GS interference in disciplinary actions in schools. When headmasters take action, you can see GS directive undoing the directive on that particular disciplinary action. What that interference does not help. We don't need to micromanage our senior high school. Leave the senior high school masters to be in charge and the mistresses to be in charge. Let them in charge and be seen to be in charge. But when they are just a pale shadow in their office, and therefore whatever that is happening is being micromanaged from the headquarters of Ghana Education, it doesn't help. They want to be seen, want to be seen to be in charge, and let them be in charge. When the discipline students, they know what to do. They are experiencing they are finding out the special rank. And know if they want to do it in appropriate way. So let's do that when there's something there for a victim, I talk about it. But when they take this guy and then you see the GS that is giving directly to be on the side of the student, it doesn't help. We shouldn't get to a point that we premium the students more than the teachers. It shouldn't be that way. GS will have to come to the point to know that, look, we are also on your side as much as we are on the side of the student. So it shouldn't be the word of the students against the word of teachers, whereby we have two teachers holding their arms that we are not going to mind these students anymore, whatever the patients wants to be. It should just be. But that's related to quality that we don't have to get to that point. Let us, as possible, if it is continually talking to students, having our school counselors or guidance and country department, retooling them to be effective, it will help all of us.
Well, Mr. Divine, thank you very much for your time with us this morning. I would have asked for the way forward, but in every submission you make, you attach the way forward to it, and what a great way to make a presentation on this note. Well, Divine, thank you very much for not denouncing that yesterday was not your birthday. I made a mistake with the address. It's actually Richard Kumado's birthday. It was his birthday yesterday.
Because you didn't wish me on my birthday, so I'm taking the blessing.
Exactly. So what good way to wish you a belated birthday, Divine? Thank you very much.
I just try to take the blessing, you know.
Very well.
So I need to claim that blessing.
Exactly, and this one was purposely tailored for you, which is why I picked that very hymn now. Love divine, all lives excelling.
I'll check the lyrics and follow it and get the word so well.
Right. May God visit you with his salvation, and thank you very much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so that was Mr. Divine. He's an educationist, and I beg your pardon for having referred to him with the designation of Mr. Richard Kumado. Richard Kumado is the fraud and security consultant. Yesterday was his birthday, and I think that got into me so much that I'm wishing Divine, but it's not out of order. Divine also celebrated his birthday not long ago, and so the wish that was tailored for him, he has received it, and it's basically about the blessing in there. He has thrown important lights onto this matters. I'm happy that he touched on the position of GES. Indeed, if you have drawn out regulations in terms of what punishment can be given to students, you should also at least find a way to counsel the students, because you ask yourself in the first place that why do teachers tend to always discipline these students? Sometimes it gets severe. Sometimes it is as a result of the severity of what infraction the student might have caused, and sometimes you can also blame the teachers as well. Sometimes they get out of order and they do these things. But I think that whilst we seek order on the side of the teachers, we seek order on the side of the students as well. And I'm happy that he's also happy about the fact that the Ghana Police Service is seeking the GES's advice on how to counsel the students in terms of appropriate behavior. I think that schools also shouldn't relent on this. This is one reason why we have orientations in our schools. And this orientation, like I said, is conducted by the seniors who have received discipline from their predecessors, and they impact it onto the next generation. And so if we don't impact it properly, certainly it turns out to be something else. And I think that schools should also place a lot of importance on orientation and let students understand that every action has a repercussion. Even the good ones have a good repercussion as well. And so they shouldn't relent on that form of education at all.
And there's something he said that I think very laudable. I really haven't heard people hit on it so much, but for me it's been one of my main, like the bane of why I even studied that course. I even wanted to continue, but I realized if I take it up in this country, is there a future for it? Developmental psychology, where we have psychology in the schools. We have so many graduates who come out of our universities year in, year out, who have gone through the study of psychology. and can use psychology in our hospitals and in our schools. But when you come to this country, is psychology being utilized at all?
Psychology is being utilized a lot, especially by the Ghana Police Service, the CID.
Okay,
Now,
the CID.
yeah,
But how
exactly.
many?
Especially when they're dealing with, you know, suspects and criminals.
Yeah, but when
they
we come
employ
to
a lot
our
of psychology.
schools, we don't have them at all.
Well,
You
I don't know.
You might have teachers who have graduated with psychology or in psychology, but you find them in the classrooms as teachers, not necessarily using that part, counseling students. You know, as he talked about the social, emotional, you know, impact. Yes, how we integrate that into the learning structure designed for students. Do we at all have like a psychologist in a school? So we have I'm not talking about just counselors, because I know counseling.
But counseling at least comes with some level of understanding into psychology.
Yes,
as well.
You go to, and even when you go to our schools where you find counselors, maybe it's a double thing. Assistant headmaster who is also doubling so that they have certain duties. But do we have a counselor in a school who is working as a counselor, who has got, I know some schools, I've read about some schools, not in Ghana of course, where you have a counselor or a psychologist.
Of course, but
a psychologist or a counselor in the school who maybe with 1 month is dealing with a particular class. They don't necessarily wait for an issue. Then we call a hindering of a sort, and then we say this is the counselor, or this person has dealt with students or has done this and this, so let's look for a way to punish this child. Let's look for how to advise. They don't necessarily wait for these issues to arise. We deal with one student, one particular class for a month. They call on certain, you know, sometimes students, just by even how they answer questions, just by their creative arts, their artwork alone can tell you this child has this issue. How they relate with their fellow students, even the things they say, can let you know that this child has an underlying issue. And a psychologist will pull and try to deal and manage with these issues. Do we have such things? No. We wait until these issues have escalated, and these students, children, whatever name we'll give to them, have nothing else to do but that they have become people who are showing, manifesting aggression or violence, which always is a result of an underlying issue.
Well, I think that with that submission from Divine, one thing that the educational curriculum also has to look at, not for the students but for the teachers, is to inculcate. I believe that it's part of their lessons to understand the mannerisms of students. But I think that psychological thought courses that would lead perhaps to, you know, training them to become counselors would be ideal, because they are in constant interaction with these people that they are molding up to be future leaders. And so if you do not mold them up properly, I remember a statement my teacher made to me in senior high school. She said, don't try to become a teacher, else you and your family will suffer. Yes, that was because of it was not, you know, it was a honest opinion, and we all respected that. It was a candid opinion, a candid advice coming from her, because as at that time they were not enjoying single spine salary. As at that time, look, I will tell you, I'm speaking from the same school that a teacher committed suicide out of frustration. I hope you understand.
I understand. I've been a teacher for 4 years.
And so when you say I'd shudder to agree with you on that conjecture.
I don't think you understood my
okay. Maybe I didn't understand. It was a honest advice. All right, and I must say that kudos to I mean, my secondary school, my alma mater. Most of the lecturers in there have you know, psychological knowledge to some extent, and so in our constant interaction, it's a boys' school, and you know that boys, especially like you said, once we get to that age, it is something else, and so they are always in conversation with us, or it's like that, and we go on, and we were lucky to have a counselor in our school, and it was a female, and the moment she speaks to you alone, I mean, one day she just saw me and she was like, why? I had not approached her with any sort of worry, but I think she saw my countenance. She tapped me on the shoulder. It was like, why?
So that's a difference they make.
And it changed everything for me. And anytime I saw her, I smiled.
Yeah.
I felt good at that time. And for the rest of my stay in school, it had a great impact on me. So it is a good call that we have counselors in our school. Let me say kudos to Adoatv College. At least we have a counselor. I don't know which school. I don't know which school Princess attended.
No wonder.
That she's saying that they don't have counselors. We pray that they put a counselor in your school.
Yeah, I do pray that
Lagos State Senior High School. Which one?
They put a Lagos.
Or Ulara Bengi Senior High School.
It is my prayer
say
that
the school's name.
We put counselors.
You're not part of your school.
St. Francis Secondary Technical in Akimoda behind Oda Hospital.
Where they don't have counselors.
It's not the only school. I am surprised. Anyway, but we know what he's talking. We know where he's been and where he's from. So sometimes I think that judging from how he's behaving right now, we can give some excuses to some of our.
Yes, because we had counselors. We had counselors in our schools. Do you have a counselor in your school? No. You attended Francis what? Now Francis Xavier Sosu, because of you, Francis Xavier Sosu is facing issues. How can you do that? You don't have counselors in your school.
I really do.
So let's advocate. Let's advocate
because I know him. And today being a Monday, hello Kojo for.
Wow,
Kojo for hello.
Francis
Greetings
Technical.
to you wherever you are.
Francis Technical. Let's finish with a graphic.
I do want to finish with my new crusading guide without his interruption. Yendi MP cut short for some.
So you study technical courses and
you are here. GA chastises Sami JV, says that NPP digitizing transformation needs commendation. Oh, okay. I think that's the first I'm hearing of that particular one. Okay, so Akufo-Addo urges Jethro. Akufo-Addo urges Jethro. We're talking about, I think it's one Japan. But that story is on page 3. I want to hit on that again. President Akufo-Addo has called on the Japan External Trade Organization, Jethro, to support Ghana's comprehensive industrialization agenda. Ghana's comprehensive industrialization agenda his administration has put in place since assuming office in January 2017. So speaking at a ceremony to officially open the Japan External Trade Organization's office in Ghana at the, of course, Kempinski Hotel. I wish I was there.
You'll be here. Sit down here and read
in Accra. President said with Jethro fully in place in Ghana, the time has come for a more coordinated approach by Ghana and Japan to undertake joint initiatives which will complement the work government is already doing to empower the private sector to take advantage of the long-standing and beneficial bilateral relations between the two countries. Again, this story really hyped my. Okay, let me just leave it at that. Court orders Lands Commission. I don't know if you'll be interested in that. We were talking about some lands, if you remember, Akpeshi Lagoon area last week. There's a different place, all right, but still on Lands Commission. Court orders Lands Commission to restore land title to North Kwabenya land owners. Happy news for some people. I hope their weekend was great with this news. Okay, so I will do a little on sports if it is a different issue. Afena Jan is a promising talent. What am I asking? Is a promising talent.
You are having
that's coming from Coach Milovan. Barca confirmed return of Xavi as manager. And classy Man City dominates timid Manchester United in 2-0 win. That's it for the new crusading guide. Yeah, that will be it for the new crusading.
I'm out of paper.
You're out. Yeah. Yeah, you stole my chronicle. So, all right. So with that said, that'll be a wrap up for the newspapers. We'll go on a quick break, and when we come back, there is more. Yes, it's still Adoatv where we bring good things to life. We have more good things for you. We'll be right back after this break.
This Wednesday on Daily Connect.
2016, I started thinking about relocating to Ghana because I had a desire to come back and help. So I started exploring the opportunities for me to come to Ghana, and so I followed up. And here I am right now as the president of AUCC.
President of AUCC, Professor Beku Blankson, tells his life story and shares his thoughts on some national issues.
So, I think I bring a lot of energy, revitalizing the institution again. They're doing politics, or they are learning how to be leaders. Because in my view, they are not learning how to be leaders.
Join the train on TV and online.
From the academic side, we have failed. Okay. Industry side too, we have failed. You can't be gay and be Christian. Those of us who came from poorer homes, who worked very hard, are all successful because we understand the value of what we have.
Welcome aboard the safest airline in Africa. With industry-leading safety measures to protect your well-being. The first in Africa to earn a diamond standard of safety. Offering a more contactless, safe, and seamless experience. Delivered with a smile by Africa's first fully vaccinated crew. Creating special memories that bring the joy back to flying, so you can continue making memories with your loved ones. Book your flight with RwandAir today. RwandAir, the safest airline in Africa.
RwandAir, fly the dream of Africa.
CB women capsules now. I'm not correct. Why your best mankasa? That's it. Who anyone? Oh, middle. You capsules back on CB men capsules. Me see CB men capsules na make a year.
Yeah, you see men and women's capsules now. You knew the dada. And one year packaging I am the
wow! What a packaging! CB men, any CB women capsules no packaging is out. And you also no mood any biansan wako do pegi.
Share a painful any about town man kwada no for. Any kwada go di fear do and come home.
Susanna, Ghana man man tamasi.
Adoatv 0247 111671 and 0246 578 750. FDA Adoatv nkato yato.
Announcements on Adoatv. Contact Adoatv for your general announcements, proclamations and publications, job vacancies, etc. at a very affordable rate. Call 050-92-57754, 020-9494-258, or visit our marketing desk at Stepwork premises. Adoatv, bringing good things to life.
Welcome aboard the safest airline in Africa. With industry-leading safety measures to protect your well-being. The first in Africa to earn a diamond standard of safety. Offering a more contactless, safe, and seamless experience. Delivered with a smile by Africa's first fully vaccinated crew. Creating special memories that bring the joy back to flying, so you can continue making memories with your loved ones. Book your flight with Rwandair today. Rwandair, the safest airline in Africa.
Rwandair, fly the dream of Africa.
Do you know that we have phenomenal influence on our various regulatory bodies? How many of these regulatory bodies do you know within the country? Are you aware you can lodge your complaints if and when you are not satisfied with a product or service? How often do you ask the relevant questions? Whom do you call when things are not rightly done? Connect with me on Regulators on Adoatv as we deliberate on the purpose of these regulatory institutions, their functions, accomplishments, and shortcomings. We ask the back-breaking questions and get the unpolished truth. Be a part of our conversations.
Malaria and tea. You are yet more bono. Malaria, therefore, yao. Enti awo. I shouldn't customers. When you say, Mammy, I am smart. I perceive Malakio. I'm money buyer or the eco school. Share. Say a pianisi berry market any malaria and tea. I want to mean. And now Emma will be around to walk. So we have malaria test. Maybe one. And better one. And the CB Malagio. You didn't know. And now kick out bomb as soon as I CB Malagio. And no way so there. And I don't grow. I yet tata shit.
A drawing your ma appeal for. About a woman for. Any quada won't fear
Susiana. What would you win here?
FD Ashusha sa a jedi and crack to you aja to Musa and
Well, many thanks to you for staying with us. You're watching AM Ghana here on Adoatv Television. My name is Reginald Adi, and I'm here with Juliana Ijoma of St. Francis Technical High School. And we have taken you through the newspaper headlines. Well, now, over the weekend, the 15-member Commission, ECOWAS, held a meeting here in Ghana, and they condemned the terrorist attack in Mali. We are told that a jihadist group attacked some Malians. They condemned the attack. They also condemned the ongoing situation in Guinea as well. And the president expressed condolences to some 100 persons. As of yesterday, it was around 90. The death toll was around 90, with some few battling for their lives. A tanker, a petroleum tanker explosion in Sierra Leone took the life of these persons, and condolences were expressed on that as well. The story is on page 16 of the Ghanaian Times. ECOWAS condemns terrorist attack in Mali. Let me do a quick read into it and find out how the meeting went. President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo has condemned the terrorist attack in Mali by jihadist groups last week, which left dozens of people dead. 69 people, including a local mayor, 69 people, including a mayor, lost their lives in the attack near the Malian tribe border with Burkina Faso and Niger on November 2, a statement from the government of Mali said. At the opening of the ECOWAS Community of West African States extraordinary session of the Authority of Heads of State and Government in Accra yesterday, President Akufo-Addo condemned the act and expressed the authorities' condolences to the family of the victims. He also expressed condolences to the families of the 100 people who lost their lives in an explosion at Freetown, Sierra Leone on Saturday, November 6th. The purpose of the extraordinary session of the community, President Akufo-Addo said, was to advance deliberations on the political situation in Mali and Guinea. Membership of the two countries in the bloc has been suspended as a result of the recent military takeover of the government in violations of ECOWAS protocols on democracy and good governance, which provides the free and transparent ballot box as the only legitimate vehicle for assumption of political office in the community. And at the previous summit before yesterday's, on September 16, President Akufo-Addo said the authority took a series of decisions on the development in the two countries, charged me with, okay, so this is quoting, charged me with responsibility of conveying in person these decisions to the military authorities in Mali and Guinea respectively. President Akufo-Addo, who is chair of the ECOWAS authority, on September 17 visited Conakry, the capital of Guinea, with President of Ivory Coast Alassane Ouattara to convey the sentiments of the authority to the military rulers. Accompanied by the chair of the ECOWAS Council of Ministers, Sele Ayoko Boutre, and President of the ECOWAS Commission, Jean-Claude Cassibrou, the delegation also engaged the military leaders on the way forward. The delegation visited the former president of Guinea, Professor Alpha Condé, to satisfy itself with his living conditions and discuss with him his future plans. And subsequently, on October 17, 2021, President Akufo-Addo paid a visit to Bamako, the Malian capital, with ECOWAS mediator for the Malian crisis, Goodluck Jonathan, Ms. Ayoko Boutre, and Mr. Cassie Broom, to convey decisions of authority and engage leaders of the transitional government on the way forward. Reports from the two meetings were tabled at the disclosed. It goes on and 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 on. So that is ECOWAS Commission Chair Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo condemning the terrorist attack in Mali last week. He also took the opportunity to express condolences to the Sierra Leoneans who lost their lives in the tanker explosion. It has not been ascertained yet whether it's a terrorist attack or a deliberate attempt to take the lives of people. As it stands now, it is considered as an accident. However, I remember that in the previous meetings held by the ECOWAS, yes, they suspended the Mali and Guinea for that military takeover, and also gave Mali and Guinea days to hold free and fair elections and to return to constitutional rule. Now, Mali was given up to February 27th, if I'm not mistaken, my producers will correct me, up until February 27th to conduct an elections and hand over power appropriately. However, President Akufo-Addo not long ago received a letter from Mali indicate the current Malian military rulers that they wouldn't be able to meet the deadline. And it's unfortunate. The reasons that they stated, I have not found out yet. But when the letter got to our president and also chair for ECOWAS Commission about it, we found out. Now, Mali, I mean, when the coup came up, we spoke about, and it came to light that it wasn't the first time that Mali had experienced a coup. Guinea in itself, that wasn't the first time that Guinea had experienced a coup. Now, however, when you listen to the reasons that these military leaders or rulers tend to take over power from the democratically elected presidents, it appears that they seem to want to create or restore calm and orderliness. Most of the times, they give reasons, citing examples like corruption, citing examples. When you look at the recent Guinean takeover, for instance, they cited mismanagement of resources and a whole lot, and the changing of the constitution. So, in brief, what these persons tend to want to do is to restore orderliness and to reconstitute or reinstitute democratic rule. However, it happens that process tends to take quite some time. It takes too long, and by the time you realize, the country is locked within that military rule, and they as military men also take a very long time trying to figure out the best way to, because you look at the case of Guinea, for instance, and at a point all other ministries were shut down. So you ask yourself that, where are they going from there? All these ministries were shut down. The substantive ministers were asked to bring documents, what not, and what's not. And you look at the modus operandi of these military rules, these military takeovers, and for instance, the manner in which they handled Prof. Alpha Conde, for instance, and you realize that there is something amiss, in as much as you want to restore her power and seemingly have the nod of the majority of the population, does not mean that you can manhandle anybody, because at the end of the day, there are charges that you might face when you eventually hand over power, and you wouldn't want to be caught on the tails of having committed war crimes whatsoever in a time when you thought that you were restoring democratic rule. Now, the question also to ask is that, is it right? Is it even right to correct a wrong with another wrong? That was a question that a lot of people were asking, and other, especially other member states of ECOWAS, were asking. And certainly, coups, we also spoke to some security consultants, we spoke to ex-military persons, we spoke to lawyers, we spoke to a lot of people, we spoke to some legislators on their thoughts on this matter. And it obviously comes down to one thing, that military takeovers, coup d'etats, are not the best way to go about things if indeed you want to change a system of government, or you want to oust a currently or an incumbent leader of a state. Now, many of those we spoke to also indicated that it is an archaic and uncalled for measure. We are in the 21st century, and to most of them, we shouldn't be experiencing coups in the 21st century. However, in the 21st century, we've experienced well over 30 coups across. And so I wonder where we are going as a globe, as a continent, or whatever you want to put it as. Where are we headed to? And why is it that we are seeing the emanation of all of these coups? Maybe the people are too frustrated that they think that the best way to deal with, even though the constitution also provides for measures to oust a sitting president, you realize that these people seem to be frustrated. However, if you think you are frustrated, I would say that is not a time for you to lead a country. If you are frustrated, Gamma will say, Beshi, let somebody take over, or perhaps find a way to instill that democratic rule. So yes, you've been able to take out the person that you say you want to take out. So now what is making it difficult for you to transit power democratically, constitutionally, to whoever would be the people's choice? You have a lot to say. I've witnessed that in your mood and your aura. Tell us.
All right. So first things first, I think I am concerned when we talk about these coup d'etats and all that, especially where you find a suffering country, like in the case of Guinea. We did not just witness a president who wants to be president forever, but the issue is if he was even being right, if he was doing right to his countrymen or to his citizens. He wasn't, and people have been complaining. So what should people who are complaining and are being faced with a president such as this? Because sometimes in a democratic rule, you are expecting that, okay, I think I can bear with this for 4 years. I think I can bear with this for the rest of the 2 years that this man has. When it is time for me to show my power, I'll exercise it. I'll do exactly what I have to do to make sure that I don't see that particular person being president again. But then it gets to that time, and what you are expecting does not happen. We have had certain occasions where the president on the seat in power will do everything and anything to anybody or group of persons who would even gather. Just gathering alone. He will do anything to scatter them. He will do anything to put fear into his citizens. Then what is the way forward? Yes, we see that we have groups or yes, communities such as the ECOWAS who are supposed to then come in and speak for the citizens of such countries. Do they do so? They don't. And we only see them come up after a coup. So it's like a coup comes in as the last bit. Like it's a, hey, I nearly said a do or die thing.
No,
I nearly brought in the do or die.
You are a journalist, and I think that when you use do or die, you'll be using it figuratively. In the word, in the sense that it means. So I don't think that you should tie yourself.
So that's my lawyer, so I can use it.
I'm not your lawyer. I'm just speaking.
I didn't say you were a lawyer. I said that's my lawyer. So
I'm not your lawyer.
You are my lawyer. You just defended me.
Don't put
my high lawyer. So me lawyer or her or Kasama me. He says I can use it. So it becomes like a do or die. After all, we are dying. I mean, if we die, we die. We are dying. So let me at least try and survive. So if in the course of trying to survive, I perish, then I perish. You see, so it looks like the coup d'etat is the only way out. And when people are crying and they see coup d'etat as the only way out, then it means whichever means and whichever mechanism, like the ECOWAS, that has been put in place, it means that you are sleeping on your job. You are not doing what is right. And I'm not at all surprised that those who come out to say that we can resolve this issue, let us be the leaders of the coup, or let us bring about the coup, and they lead the people in. I'm not surprised at all that after the coup is in place and whoever has to be like Professor Alpha Conde has been ousted. After that, what next? They don't know what next. Because they didn't plan on what next. What they wanted to see.
They said that they were going to.
Oh, they thought it was that easy.
They said they said they
we
were
always
going
think
to
leading is easy.
Institute civilian rule soon. This was a Colonel Damboya. Yeah, Mamadou Damboya.
I had a friend who said soon has double O's there. That makes it even very, very dangerous.
Soon is not that soon.
It can look long. The O's can be stretched, right? So it's. I mean, we have to remember where Alpha Conde himself was coming from. He was coming from.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
exactly.
And then he comes to taste power, and then after tasting power, realizes that Charlie, I didn't. And you can't just leave something that is sweet. You leave it to what? And I think that this is a challenge that we have. So, coup d'etats coming. After the coup d'etat, we are left with somebody who has never ruled a country before. If he has ever ruled anything, he ruled a group of people where they use what? Action. Military action and power all the time. So, hey. And then he now is dealing with the whole country. Obviously, it's two different things. Two very, very different things. When you're dealing with a country, you are looking at socio-economic issues. You are looking at people who put you there to help them. And so they can put you out. Not the military kind where they have to salute and then be bowing to you. These are very, so at the beginning, when you are not in power, we can use football and all that. We look at our coaches and we think that we can do better jobs than the coaches they are doing. But wait until you have your own group. Look at certain, excuse me to bring this in, but certain irresponsible fathers who think that they are better off than the president. But then their own small sect, they cannot handle. So that is how, I'm sorry I'm bringing in these issues and I'm comparing like that, but that is how it is. You have your small group there. You think because you are able to manage this small group, it means that you can translate it into managing a country. It is a different ball game altogether. So I'm not surprised that we are seeing these things, but rather than just we complaining and giving them, I give you this deadline. Hey, there were a lot of constitutional breaches that they have already done. So you think it is the word of, no, there are things that ECOWAS has to put their foot down on certain issues, stamp their authority.
ECOWAS will put its feet down.
And let's see them on the side of the citizenry.
Well, you can tell that, I mean, all of these calls that they are making. Let me also quickly add that ECOWAS also had suggested a transitional charter, to help these countries transition or, hand over power from the military to civilian rule, and if possible, or where necessary, install at least a prime minister to see to the affairs of the country. And so, yes, I can hit hard on the fact that ECOWAS is in the interest of the citizenry. However, you realize that we do not hear much of ECOWAS when it comes to these dealings, obviously because their leash on the member states is quite limited. And I think that the leash is also not properly fastened with damning or daring policies. Now, I'm saying damning or daring policies because if you take an institution like the IMF, for instance, which gives funding to several nations, they have established that level of importance for themselves, such that when they make a pronouncement, or when they cut you off, it's going to be dire for you as a country. I am hoping that ECOWAS would get to that point where it establishes itself as a formidable, commission of countries or economic, so I beg your pardon, economic community of all of these 15 countries. Now, it's an economic community, but you ask yourself that what has been the economic achievements of ECOWAS, apart from the bid to instill an eco currency for all ECOWAS states, which has not even seen any form of fruition. Apart from that, you ask yourself, what has been the other benefits of ECOWAS? You realize how many people were calling out ECOWAS when the Guinea and Mali coups occurred. And for a very long time, they were mute. They come to suspend these countries from ECOWAS. And you see the composure of Colonel Damboya and his people, and you realize that they don't seem perturbed. Like
it didn't tickle them.
It doesn't change anything. It doesn't change anything for them. He hasn't. Why is it so? Why is it so? We have international courts amongst others, but certainly before this matter is taken, unless a particular individual has expressed such concern, why are you going to pass? Why are you going to pass? Even the ousted president is on house arrest, and they are not allowing him to go anywhere. Who are you, ordinary citizen, to want to, take things up and perhaps ask for your country? Well, I think that ECOWAS it behoves on them indeed to really establish themselves as that institution that you cannot do away. Exactly, you cannot do away with. So that once they speak, at least their voices would be heard. Because in all we are saying, it seems that the worst form of punishment they could give was to suspend these countries. And I think that the moment you suspend them as well, you have betrayed the citizens of that country who are looking up to a bigger community to come to their rescue. It's like you've bailed on them. And so you tell the people, deal with your own people. But upon second thought, I think that they went to sit down and realize that, well, they could come in to a greater extent. And so, well, they should press on. At least the Malian military leadership or rule has replied to President Akufo-Addo, indicating that they wouldn't be able to meet the February 27 deadline. But as to why, they have not indicated. And kudos to ECOWAS as well for having taken a journey to see ousted President Professor Alpha Conde to ascertain if his condition was indeed. They've not come back with any substantial reports to indicate his current state, but we hope that he's okay wherever he is, and we hope that Mali especially would see to restoring order. And also at least civilian rule as well, because I mean in such in 21st century jurisdictions, I don't think that military rule is a thing or anything that anybody wants to experience or enjoy. Democracy has worked and is still working for a lot of countries. You look at the United States, for instance, they practice democracy to the core, and I mean the system is still working for them. So why can't it work for other African countries as well? Let's go back to democratic and constitutional rule so that we'll all be happy and enjoy our continent in peace. The same continent we are having a lot of issues. Let's enjoy our continent in peace.
In the 21st, you were talking about being in the 21st century, 21st. I'm wondering, in my head, that is what is turning in. Is Africa really in the 21st century? It's like the time has caught up with us, but are we really? With development and everything, are we really in the 21st century? Even the coup d'etat is enough a statement telling us that we are not.
It's sad. It's sad. I don't know what our viewers think, but the WhatsApp lines are very active. You can also join us in the conversation on Facebook where we are streaming live. Let's hear from you what you think about the position of ECOWAS. We've asked this over and over. For those of you who couldn't get a chance to express yourself and your thoughts about ECOWAS, well, you are warmly welcome to express your concerns on that, and also about military takeovers in other countries. Right about now, Juliana wants to go on a turnaround, so I'll take us on a break quickly for her.
It's a tea break.
Yes, a tea break. When we come back, we'll continue with the conversations. Hopefully, we'll be speaking on the implications of a fiscal policy and budgets of a country when we are joined in by my very good friend, Mr. Julius Kweku Carter. Until then, do stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Do you know that we have phenomenal influence on our various regulatory bodies? How many of these regulatory bodies do you know within the country? Are you aware you can lodge your complaints if and when you are not satisfied with a product or service? How often do you ask the relevant questions? Whom do you call when things are not rightly done? Connect with me on Regulators on Adoatv as we deliberate on the purpose of these regulatory institutions, their functions, accomplishments, and shortcomings. We ask the back-breaking questions and get the unpolished truth. Be a part of our conversations.
Announcements on Adoatv. Contact Adoatv for your general announcements, proclamations and publications, job vacancies, etc. at a very affordable rate. Call 050-92-57754, 020-9494-258, or visit our marketing desk at Stepwork premises. Adoatv, bringing good things to life.
This Wednesday on Daily Connect.
2016, I started thinking about relocating to Ghana because I had a desire to come back and help. So I started exploring the opportunities for me to come to Ghana, and so I followed up, and here I am right now as the president of AUCC.
President of AUCC, Professor Abeku Blankson, tells his life story and shares his thoughts on some national issues.
So, I think I bring a lot of energy, revitalizing the institution again. They're doing politics, or they are learning how to be leaders. Because in my view, they are not learning how to be leaders.
Join the train on TV and online.
From the academic side, we have failed. Okay. Industry side too, we have failed. You can't be gay and be Christian. Those of us who came from poorer homes, who worked very hard, are all successful because we understand the value of what we have.
Welcome aboard the safest airline in Africa. With industry-leading safety measures to protect your well-being. The first in Africa to earn a diamond standard of safety. Offering a more contactless, safe, and seamless experience. Delivered with a smile by Africa's first fully vaccinated crew. Creating special memories that bring the joy back to flying, so you can continue making memories with your loved ones. Book your flight with RwandAir today. RwandAir, the safest airline in Africa.
RwandAir, fly the dream of Africa.
CB women capsules now. I'm not correct. Why your best mankasa? That's it. Who anyone? Oh, middle. You capsules back on CB men capsules. Me see CB men capsules na make a year.
Yeah, you see men and women's capsules now. You knew the dada. And one year packaging I had a.
Wow! What a packaging! CB men, any CB women capsules, no packaging is on. And you also no mood any bianza wako do pegi.
She are painful. Any about town man kwada no for. Any kwada won di fie do yen. Enka ho.
Susanna. Ghana man be man tamase.
Dodo Afre 0247 111671 and 0246 578 750. FDA adi edwedin kato yato.
Welcome aboard the safest airline in Africa. with industry-leading safety measures to protect your well-being. The first in Africa to earn a diamond standard of safety. Offering a more contactless, safe, and seamless experience. Delivered with a smile by Africa's first fully vaccinated crew. Creating special memories that bring the joy back to flying, so you can continue making memories with your loved ones. Book your flight with Rwandair today. Rwandair, the safest airline in Africa.
Rwandair, fly the dream of Africa.
Water, but you're not getting on and that's all I'm about to order.
Malaria and tea. Abba, you are yet to bono.
What you have to keep it.
Malaria, therefore, yow. Enti awo, I shouldn't the customers. One who say, Mammy, I smart. Abba, CB Malakio. I'm money buyer or the eco school. Share. Say a Janisi berry market any malaria and tea. I want to mean.
And now, Emma will be around to walk. So we have malaria test. Maybe one. And better one. And the CB Malakio. You didn't know. And now kick out from a son so I CB Malakio. And no way so dear. And I know grow. I yet tata shit.
A drawing your ma appeal for about a woman for any quada won't fear doing.
Susiana, what would you with
FD Ashesha Sa Ejedi and Kratoimu Adia to Muse.
Announcements on Adoatv. Contact Adoatv for your general announcements, proclamations and publications, job vacancies, etc. at a very affordable rate. Call 05092 57754 0209494 or visit our marketing decks at Stepwork Promises. Adoatv, bringing good things to life.
Well, many thanks to you for staying with us. My name is Reginald Adi, and you're watching AM Ghana here on Adoatv Television. Well, I have been having a good time with my very sweetheart on AM Ghana, Juliana Ijoma. We took you through the newspaper headlines as well as speaking on some of the headlines in there. Well, in some few days, we are bound to hear on the 2022 fiscal policy and the national budget for 2022, and we want to assess or ascertain, as we have heard that there has been about a 23% increment in proposed government spending, and a greater chunk of it also going to debt servicing, amongst other things. Well, we want to discuss this morning the role of the fiscal policy in promoting fiscal discipline in Ghana. Most of the times we set a fiscal policy almost all the time, and we are not able to abide by them. So for 2021 fiscal policy, for instance, in a latter quarter of the year, we heard about the new introduction of introduction of new taxes, amongst other things, the Bola tax and what have you. Now, many believe that with the introduction of these new taxes, we weren't going to see any more borrowings, but unfortunately, there has been several other borrowings, and currently, on top of all of this, is the increment, yet another one in for prices, which is also transmorphed into increments in transportation fares. Right now, from Accra to Kaswa, pay 5 cedis, and it hurts. Well, so let's look at the role of fiscal policy. We hear about it all the time. We hear it. We hear them reading and all that. What does it mean? How come we are not able to stay disciplined in our physical activities? Well, to have this conversation, I have a very good friend of mine. He's an economist. He is many things when it comes to understanding economy and all that pertains economics. Dr. Julius Kwekukata, good morning, sir.
Morning.
And welcome to him, Ghana. It's been long.
Yes.
How are you doing?
I'm fine.
Right. Very well. Now, this topic, obviously, we would. I don't think we would have enough time to exhaust the understanding into why we are not able to stay fiscally disciplined. But first off, to understand the conversation, especially by our viewers, when we say fiscal policy, what does it mean?
Well, simply, thank you. Simply, fiscal policy refers to the ideal balance between government revenue and expenditure targets. Government revenues are generated through taxes. And government also take policy decisions to use those revenue to maintain certain infrastructure expenditures in terms of running government business, missions abroad, and all that, fuel subsidy and all that. So fiscal discipline helps in maintaining the targets that we as a country have set for ourselves and want to base on the policy, based on the policy and the rules of the policy. You set a target for yourself not to create any problem in terms of overspending.
Yes.
So that you can be between the budget line. Yeah.
Well, now you mentioned fiscal discipline. Now that emanates from, after having had a fiscal policy, perhaps the will or the need to stay in line so that you don't go beyond the fiscal policy. However, in my opening, I made certain presentations or certain pronouncements which are true, unless anybody wants to prove me wrong, which are true. Does this mean that Ghana as a nation is not disciplined, it's not fiscally disciplined?
Regina, I tend to always be right on issues of discipline. Discipline will not only mean that you should be strict or dictate or otherwise try to impose a kind of stringent measures on issues. Discipline itself, as we see it in the component of, in the sphere of running government affairs, is just doing the right things that you yourself have set out for yourself. And if we go foul of it, that is where we incur losses. That is where we incur lack of maintenance.
Right.
That is where we incur lack of maintaining our own self. And every society that is orderly, disciplined, that society grows and grows and grows and grows.
Right.
If government says that we are having a target to spend on expenditure, and as we see now, government is autonomous expenditure has increased voluminously, which we could do something about, but we are still not doing it, and it's expanding. It will affect the budget.
Right.
That's why you see that sometimes the finance minister is pushed to go to parliament to review the budget and ask for more money or cash flow to be able to run the economy. The excesses are the indiscipline.
The excesses.
The excesses, when you spend beyond the targeted expenditure,
Right.
or you spend extravagantly, that is where the excesses happen. And when the excesses happen, it is because we have not been able to discipline ourselves to be able to manage what we can do and do it prudently, causes the excesses.
Well, is it always about lack of? You mentioned not looking properly into what we can do and do it properly.
Yes.
Because I know that in budgeting,
Yeah.
especially when you're budgeting over a long period, long-term budgeting, you do what we call forecasts based on current trends.
Yes.
However, it seems as though after the budget is, because the budget that is presented for the entire year.
Yeah.
That is why we call it either 2021 budget or 2022
Exactly.
budget and economic policy. It's for the entire year, and then it is reviewed each quarter.
Yeah.
Now, is it that, you know, from the onset they don't do what we call the forecasting to be able to determine based on fine COVID-19, nobody preempted it.
Yeah.
It's an unforeseen circumstance. But before COVID-19, and I mean, let me say in current times, now everything we do, we inculcate COVID-19 this, COVID-19 that, COVID-19, and it is even used as justification for the introduction of new taxes.
Yeah.
Is it that we don't do that proper forecast to be able to determine that based on current trends, this is how...
It's part of the discipline we are talking about.
Okay.
If we are able to discipline ourselves well, the forecast we made would have met those measures. I found it interesting that at this particular moment, we are still using COVID-19 to do a measure of the economy. It's even wrong.
Why is it wrong?
It's wrong in the sense that health issues it's something that can happen anytime.
Right.
Health issues, they are unpredictable.
Yes.
Unlike you look at the purpose of keeping money, precautionary, speculative, and transactional. If you look at these three components, health issues are not considered to be part of that element. It counts when a pandemic happens. It is the duty of every state to look into the consolidated fund, fix on a amount on it, and deal with it once and for all. As soon as solutions are being found and the tracking of the disease is following a certain trend. For example, they were not finding medicine for the COVID. They now found medicine for the COVID. They said this type of COVID medicine is good. The vaccine, this one is good. So it means that a system is being put in place gradually to arrest the situation. What happened is that we need to adjust ourselves and budget towards that health solution, where we are able to set up a fund responsible for the COVID. Apart from that, have we been able to use the COVID fund disciplinary to be able to meet the need of the COVID, where the COVID solutions are found and when monies are not being overspent? Did we do that? If we have done that, then it will not affect our budget. You understand me? During the COVID time, they were sharing food. Did the people who are not having food actually got the food? And have they reached where they are supposed to reach to make people healthy? So these are disciplines. And today, people have been hearing fiscal policy, fiscal discipline. It is an important element in handling the pest of this government, of the country. The pest, the money pest that the government is having.
Yes.
It is important to see people disciplined. For instance, if you take the number of vehicles that the president entourage move with, the excesses are too much.
Does this have a direct impact on fiscal policy?
Fine. Go to the ministry. There are times I pass in the evening. I see government institutions. The lights are on. The whole 24 hours. The lights are on. These are excesses. And it's overrun the budget. You may not see it.
I've spoken to some members of parliament and all that. They say that they buy their own fuel whatsoever. So this is coming from their pockets. I'm talking about those.
But the budget, if even they buy their own fuel, it's been retained. It's been paid back to them.
Oh, I see.
It's been paid back to them.
I see. I didn't know that it's paid back.
No, they're running the affairs of the state, so they are supposed to be taken care of. That one is not the issue.
Okay.
The excesses I'm talking about are when we leave water, electricity, and water open in the government institutions. Nobody cares. It will cost the government. If we use revenue from crude oil that we sell, or the money that we get from the oil field, if we use it for political campaign, lack of indiscipline. If we do that, if that is what we do, that's the practice, then it's a wrong priority. We are not doing politics. We're talking about disciplining the system and let the system work for the purpose for which it should work for.
Right. Now,
the projects that we have left, I'm coming. The projects that we have left, and they are there. They are not being taken care of. And some of them, the rain is beating, the sun is beating. It's as a result of physical discipline. If we don't discipline ourselves, that project, when they revalue the project, it will cost more than when they complete it.
Exactly.
So that money, that excess, can be used for other things. So this is why we have to handle this topic today, because it affects the budget. And don't forget, all the projects that are left incomplete, they are left not completed, are counted in the budget. The roads. Sometimes we are given contracts are given for roads to be done. The road is done in a shoddy manner. It's lack of fiscal discipline.
Right.
If the person that is given the job has done a prudent job, and when rain falls, it will not wash away the gravels. It will not wash away the quota on the road. It means that we have saved money. And it is not the finance minister alone. Let us be clear. It is not people as ministers in charge of institutions alone who will be at fault with lack of discipline in the system. It boils down to the chain of the chain of contracts and everybody who is involved in implementing government projects. That is how we find ourselves here, where we are borrowing excessively. And the fact of the matter is that we are measuring, we are doing this because we want to measure the fiscal policy rules on fiscal performance measured to debt to GDP ratio.
All right. So let's touch on that now. Currently, when you look at the debt to GDP ratio, for instance, we are made to understand that every Ghanaian owes about is it 40,000 Ghana cedis? The last time we put it around that figure.
I mean, it's about 11,133 as at last 2 weeks.
Right, 11,000.
Where you owe, I owe.
Yes.
He also owes.
A child who is born today also owes
straight away.
Now,
that child has not incurred any. He has not taken any government money benefit by his own.
How does this translate into fiscal indiscipline. Because most often than not, I mean, every country is supposed to rather see to it that each citizen is living cost-free, or perhaps, as comfortable as possible. But rather, we are in a situation where the debt to GDP ratio tends to be increasing based on the performance of the fiscal policy, economic policy, and a budget. What happens? I mean, you've touched on some of the indiscipline aspects, but what are those factors that tend to affect the GDP to debt to GDP ratio?
When, over the years, from independence time, when government changes and we are not able to continue the projects of the previous government, it creates a debt for us.
Right.
And that debt is lack of fiscal discipline. That's where you see today our debt to GDP is ballooning. Look, the key thing that is in fiscal discipline, I'm going to read it. It is maintaining macroeconomic stability, reducing vulnerabilities, and improving aggregate economic performance.
Okay.
That
is the essence of the
fiscal policy discipline.
Yes.
It is what? Maintaining macro stability, reducing vulnerability, and improving aggregate economic performance. So, by way of performing well, if projects, government policies are not implemented in strict discipline with what the budget has analyzed for or forecasted for, and we don't do it well, and we do it in a shoddy manner, a don't-carism manner, it will create vulnerabilities. It will lead to lack of economic performance. It will reduce macroeconomic stability. And one of the serious elements of macroeconomic stability is debt.
Certainly.
And debt, people are saying that we are borrowing prudently.
Are we borrowing prudently? You are an economist. Are we borrowing prudently as a country?
If we are borrowing prudently and using it for recurrent expenditure of government, then we are not borrowing prudently.
So as it stands now,
we are not borrowing prudently.
Right.
Because, Regina, when I borrow money, I'm supposed to turn the money around or invest the money, that's the right way, to bring a return. So that that money will born money babies. Let me call it that way. That means that the money will be bringing something in. So that you can pay back your borrowing. But here in our situation, when we borrow the money, we will see it in recurrent expenditure of fueling payment of salaries, which shouldn't be the case.
Right.
When we do that, then we are spending without preference.
Right.
So how prudent would it be for us to see our money not going into an investment that we borrow, knowing very well that the principal we borrow does not belong to us? So the equation of profit, principal times rate over 100 will give us the profit, the returns. We are not doing it. That simple formula is not there. The formula now is equal to profit is equal to borrowing multiplied by recurrent expenditure times time. That's our formula. That's the Ghanaian formula. And I'm giving it to you. You can look into it. Borrowing times recurrent multiplied by time over 100.
Borrowing is the same as the principal, isn't it?
Borrow is the same as the principal.
Right. So it's not it's not really a wrong formula. Now I want to find out, when you look at our economic policy,
yeah,
one thing that comes up, and I want to find out if it's an issue of discipline or indiscipline.
Let's pick on one policy.
I'm picking. Okay, well,
Let's pick on one
so
policy.
I'm picking on one policy. Now,
then we'll see how.
I just want to structure it in a way. I don't want to really touch on, but it will come out with one policy actually. So I'm speaking about prioritization.
Yeah.
Of the entire policy in itself, and you realize that a lot of priority goes into, first off, COVID-19 alleviation programs and what have you, and then secondly, priority goes into offsetting debts. Now these seem to be our first two policies before other developmental policies come up in the budget. Now, is this prioritization misplaced in our budget to cause indiscipline?
Yes, it can cause indiscipline. Because the first two you have mentioned are they profit-generated systems, profit-generated policies.
But the argument is that a healthy nation is a wealthy nation. And so in times of COVID-19, if we don't put priority on COVID-19, which is also draining us a lot, then we may be misplacing. What would be the key argument?
I told you that health issue is unavoidable. You understand?
Certainly.
Somebody can have HIV, he's on medicine, but he can go to work and work. It's not possible. Listen. Somebody can have HIV, and as an example, but when he is being treated and is on medication, is doing well, it can still go to work and be productive. Am I correct?
Yes.
Somebody can have COVID-19. Somebody can be attacked by COVID-19, but put on medication. If the person is following due processes of the medication and the person is doing well, he can still go to work, or he can be isolated.
For COVID-19, the
and
medication and those physical activities.
We are just giving an example. You say priority.
Yes.
Yes. Are we going to look at policy plan, fiscal policy, with just expenditure, spending money or spending money on those things than looking at the ones that will generate the money?
But so you're asking that same salient question. Are we going to spend on health issues? Now, health, obviously, it should just be expenditure that will not return.
Yes, we have been spending money on health issues.
But the same people,
over the years.
If the people are not healthy, how would they work in those profitable ventures?
Agreed. The COVID issue has a preventable measure before even you are attacked by the COVID. We have put those measures in place. Ghana has been able to do well by lockdown, put pressure systems in place, and the disease couldn't escalate the way it's supposed to do. The churches have cooperated with government. The government is not the only one who spend money to do those things. You understand? If health issues attack a country, it becomes everybody's affair. You understand? That one, you could have some people, some organizations supporting and all that. You get my point. But what I'm saying is that in the policy plan, we should set our priority right. Then I said we should pick on one policy. I would appreciate when the national policy is there. Some of the national policies is what the political parties pick their policies from.
Their manifestos,
then they
become
policy. That's the policy they take to governance.
Exactly.
One of the policy of this current government is one district, one factory.
Yes.
That policy, if it is well structured and targeted and fiscally disciplined, fiscal discipline is put in place in managing that alone. Imagine the amount of revenue it will generate for the country. That is where we are saying that policy priority should be targeted towards those that can generate revenue and make government return those revenue to take care of the economy.
So is it
but
that
not borrowing to spend? When we borrow and we are using it for recurrent expenditures, paying salaries, it is not productive.
Certainly. So
you pay salary, the person go and consume, and you get tax on those same monies as government is. The taxes are getting for those monies, and you take it back. You don't expand. You are still, you see, you are still at one place standing. But when you expand the economy by factories and industries, at the end of the day, you expand, you employ a lot of people, you generate more revenue. You will not need dollar tax. You will not need sanitation levy. You understand me?
Definitely.
Now,
so I want to find out. I want to find out. I was hoping that we would deal with the other aspects I mentioned before we go on to those individual policies. But since you've mentioned them, you mentioned one district, one factory, for instance, and you realize that in the wake of all of these, one district, one factory, NAPCO, free SHS, I mean, almost the flagship policies of the current administration, which also appears in the budget statement, obviously. Now, are these policies policies that lack discipline? Now, I will mention a particular policy, for instance, the year of roads. And you see the nature of our roads currently. I spoke about it in the morning.
Yeah.
Now, all of these things come in and money is solicited, or an allocation, is made for all of these developmental projects. However, we do not see them, moving as quickly or as fast as they should be. Now, this also comes back to some of the issues that you speak about, debt whatsoever, whatever have you, because we need to review some of these policies over and over again, especially the fiscal policy that attaches to them. And then at the end of the day, you realize that we go beyond what is stipulated to be used or to be spent within a particular year. Does this mean that some of the policies that the government puts in place and the mode of implementation is problematic? What can we do about that?
What we can do about them is that, one, at every stage of every policy implementation, there must be evaluation and accountability of the project. And people who are put behind those projects must be seriously made aware that if you flout the rules, you flout the policy dimensions, the time and everything, if you flout it, you'll be charged.
Right.
You will be charged.
You are not.
Or the policy or the project will be collected from you.
Right. You are not a legislator, but I want to find out from you. Most often, you realize that it is the finance minister who would come in, present the budget, and then every quarter come in, to present the quarterly budgets and what have you. Then we move on from there. We do not see the substantive ministries coming out, to explain how they utilize what funds were allocated to them. It's like we give them, and whatever happens of it, nobody, unless there is a particular issue with a particular ministry, then we invite. But there is no provision that for them to come in frequently.
Even in the
Constitution,
in the Constitution, they are mandated to explain to the public.
They are mandated to explain to the public, and that happens usually when they are called for.
Yeah.
But shouldn't there be a systematic and periodic update to now? It all boils down to transparency.
Yeah, it's all
and how the budget is used. You look at something like the COVID-19 fund, for instance, and many have called out that the modus of perhaps of operation or the manner in which the funds has been used should be at least spelled to Ghanaians. But as of now, we've not had any form of presentation on that note. Now, transparency issues. Yeah. This amounts to indiscipline, if I'm not wrong.
Yes, it amounts to this.
How do we deal with it?
It is holding the people in office responsible by law.
How disciplined are we as a country when it comes to, how transparent? I beg you, I've asked about discipline. How transparent do you think our dealings with the national budget.
If we take 1 to 10, I only give 4.
You give 4?
Yeah. We're not transparent.
A lot of shady deals going on there?
Yeah, we are not transparent. If somebody doubts it, it's a fact.
In what areas, for instance?
For instance, accountability issues. For instance, in projects, procurement.
Yes.
0. You can let me go on. Procurement in this country, I'll give them 0. 1 to 10, 0.
Wow.
Because at the end of the day, every deal is done shortly. And that will cause indiscipline in the system. Corruption will come up.
Right.
Then, at the end of the day, the fiscal discipline issue will become a canker. Yeah. You see, we have reached a stage where very soon anything written or said will be made public. In the past, there were not too many media houses. There were not too many communications. But on the press of the phone, we can have everything. So, as a country, we must be very careful the kind of things we do to our own country. Because the time will come, all these things will be exposed. Do you understand? There's transparency for the oil field, the oil transactions the country is doing now. If you see the way the things are going, my brother, you'll be surprised that funds that are generated and which will be accountable for, some of them are missing. And government must be held responsible for that. So I will give them 4. 1 to 10, just 4. 4%.
I see.
Because then we are not doing well.
Wow. Now, you mentioned something. You said that one way that the government generates revenue is through taxation.
Yeah.
Now, when you look at the nature of taxation in the country, are we disciplined in especially the policies that seeks to, implement taxes on the people? And I mean, if we introduce more taxes, what does it mean? Does it mean that we are being disciplined, to widen the tax net, which is probably the way to go? Or perhaps there is so much burden placed on the individual that it amounts to indiscipline rather?
Already people fear tax. So how do you make tax creative for them? You create tax creative. One way to make it is with the recommendation I've put here. And GRA has actually come out with some of their report and policy plan for the way forward for Ghana.
Yes.
Stating that
they
proposed Exemption Act. They proposed Exemption Act in 2020 that infant industries and Ghanaian citizens should be given exemption tax so that they can operate to bridge up the gap. The exemptions are given to foreign businesses than Ghanaians.
I see.
So it is also a disparity on its own. So it doesn't allow Ghanaians to operate and generate more revenue.
Right.
So that's also something that we have to critically look at. Then the tax education itself.
Yes.
There are so many areas that people are not aware of. And there are people who are not aware of the benefit of paying income tax. So it is the duty of civic education, it's the duty of the GRA for them to periodically take on every aspect of the tax policy to explain to Ghanaians. Not doing it once and leave it continuously.
But the point is that, are there any benefits of taxation apart from the fact that I'm going to lose some percentage to the state? What are the benefits? Because the people are paying taxes and they are not seeing their roads are getting
if you are paying tax, assuming you want to start up an industry, if you are paying tax and you are bringing in machinery, if you present all your tax details, the custom, they calculate and do some deductions for you.
If you are paying tax.
If you are paying tax.
But at the end of the day, even with the deductions, you still pay your tax at the end of the day.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. That if
so it's like you dash me, you take.
What happens is that when they give you an exemption, it means that you cooperate that machine for some period of time, for 3 years or 5 years. I mean, regain your position before you start paying the tax.
Okay, right.
So
it may not be similar, or it may not be
synonymous. It will not be 50-50.
Exactly.
I mean, at least government will give you allowance.
Right.
You get some 70% allowance to move around your business. Then you'll be taxed some 30% and all that. Actually, people can benefit from tax in so many ways. For instance, if you want to travel outside, you have your tax certificates and everything, and you present it as a business person. It gives you credibility to go to get business.
Definitely.
You also have that opportunity. In terms of taking loans from the bank, if you present your business plan, your business document, and everything, and you follow the due processes, it will give encouragement and, how do we call it, to give trust to the bank that, oh, this man is consistent in paying his tax. There are so many things they look at, even apart from, you could take an overdraft without even showing a property. That if you want to take a loan from the bank, so far as you are prudently, your credit lines are okay with the bank, they can give you that loan. But if it will be advantageous if you have a tax clearance or SNIT clearance done very well through the process. That will also benefit you.
Well,
so actually, going forward, there's exemption benefit too.
Certainly. So what I'm trying to find out is that what would be termed as discipline or indiscipline? Is it the bid to introduce more taxes, to gain more money and reduce borrowing, or the introduction of taxes in fiscal policy that burdens the people rather ends up as indiscipline? Which one is the discipline and which one is indiscipline?
You see, when people are responding to rules and regulations and they do it on time, it reduces the excesses. And if excesses are reduced, it means that the system is disciplined. If projects are supposed to be done at a particular period of time with a particular cost given on that project, if it is done within the time and period, it saves time and money. When it saves time and money, there are no excesses. If procurements are supposed to be done and quantification of the bill is given out and there are no excesses in the bill of quantity, are you getting me?
Yes.
In the bill of quantity, for example, you have not overdone the amount to procure the product, the goods. You've saved time and money. Those are the fiscal discipline we are talking about. If budgets are meant to implement a policy at a particular period of time within 1 year, the budget is broken down quarterly. As the budget is broken down quarterly, transactions must be done quarterly and evaluated quarterly, and performance reports are submitted quarterly, and then before the next quarter comes, you realize that some of these things are not done well, and they don't follow the pattern. It caused excesses. Because imagine I want to come here, and from my house to this place is 40 Ghana cedis. I pick a taxi. Assuming I delayed, that I'm supposed to be here 9 o'clock, and I delayed and I took off at 8:30. What will happen? I will let the driver be on top speed. He will not charge me the same value because the driver would have to pass certain places. Even if I take Uber, it will pass certain places to cut the journey short. But then with the speed at which I'm telling him you should go, or the way I'm rushing him to go, you say this money I've charged you is not enough. You put something on it again. So I've not saved time. But if I've taken off at 7 o'clock and I take my time, I can be here before 1 hour to the time. That is prudent discipline. You have disciplined the system. You have disciplined your system. You have reduced costs. You have reduced injury. You have reduced damages. You allow time to work within the period. So at the end of the day, you are not in a rush. So it won't cause excesses. But when I'm in a rush and I didn't do the things well, and the first quarter has passed, they've asked me for performance report. The performance report, I can't submit it. Back and forth, transportation going up and down, it will even cost you. Those are the things we want to avoid. When budgets are set quarterly, every project within that quarter must see its 80% or 70% or 90% done. Maybe it's left with really finishing. That would be, it means that we have disciplined ourselves, we don't get. But if we don't do the project, then we are still on foundation. Second quarter, still on foundation. Third quarter, now before it goes to roofing level, at the end of the day, that building that's supposed to be done within 6 months is not done. It has gone into 1 year. Then it is repositioned in the budget for next year. What are we doing? Then it means that we are causing excesses to the budget. When we projects that are supposed to be done within 3 years, we have not done it, and within 8 years the projects are still on the ground, will cause excesses. And I'm telling you that a project that is left in the bush or in the sun for 1 year, 2 years, the cost is double than the actual cost of doing the project at once. So if we don't discipline ourselves and do things at the right time, at the right place, at the right period, we will never be successful as a country.
Well, now many the opposition in Parliament have indicated that we should expect more taxes to be introduced in the 2022 budget that we are bound to see on 15th or 17th November. That's the days that was presented to Parliament. Now, before we even touch on that, we have been informed that there is a speculated increment in the about 23%. That makes about 132 billion Ghana cedis to be spent, as opposed to the 112 billion Ghana cedis for 2021. And I want to find out, these increments, are they also a sign of indiscipline? It's like, we know what has characterized the budget. It's borrowing, and the 2021 budget, which was supposed to provide hope by providing some fiscal stimuli, amongst other things, to help, cushion people and organizations within the times of COVID-19. We rather saw, some excessive borrowings, amongst other things, and introduction of new taxes. Now, on top of that, when the introduction of these new taxes, we're still going to see an increment in the budget. If it is true that it's increased, what would this mean? Is it as a result of indiscipline?
Let me tease. I get the point. Let me tease your mind interestingly. The first question you should ask yourself was that, what are the things that we couldn't do that the budget we prepare for 2021, what are the things that we couldn't do as a priority set to break the chain of generating more revenue? What are the things that we couldn't do? One of the things that we couldn't do is that we are not prioritizing our economy based on production systems.
All right.
When production activities, industrialization, are intertwined, to promote employment and all that, the government need not to tax those COVID levy, sanitation levy, and those things, because the same industries and the same people that are being taxed are the same people that are paying the tax. So the bag of what to generate at a particular period of time is not expanding. Now, two, the government has gone to borrow excessively. So he has to rebase his debt issue and extend it, borrow again to do these businesses that you are talking about, which is not a prudent fiscal discipline policy management. That will give performance, credibility. So already, 2021 budget, we saw, we are showing vulnerabilities of what? We have not reduced vulnerabilities. The vulnerability is when the macro indicator for providing factories, industries to generate, to make employment, to employ more people who are not working. At the end of the day, what do we see? We don't see more taxes coming in. So what you do is that you rebase the debt, and then you said you want to go for a loan again. I'm not surprised, because as it is now, we cannot go to any bond market to go and borrow. The premiums are high. So government will definitely have to go to World Bank. And World Bank, they will set the targets for us. And one of the targets is to increase our revenue. And they will ask you, how would you be able to pay the loan? So what will government do? The only tool that is available for government to use is to use tax.
Now, even with the use of the taxes, I mean, we are not seeing the, end results. Now, when you ask a lot of these economic persons in the current administration, the justification they give is that their policies, the one district, one factory that you spoke about, and what have you, are long-term policies that we would begin to...
But who designed it for them?
Maybe if
who designed? They designed it themselves.
Maybe when I finish my point.
No, I won't let you finish before I talk. Before I tell you,
they are saying
who designed it?
They are saying that they are long-term policies, and that when you set up a very good policy, it thinks about the long term. It takes the long term before you start seeing the benefits. So maybe if in the next 4 years they are not in power, whichever party comes into power will begin to enjoy those benefits. They are thinking about the future. Is this the way to go?
Master, we have short-term plan and long-term plan.
Yes.
In the short term, what is the policy decision in short term?
The policy
decision is to
yes,
digitalize
so
the
to
economy.
put in those measures that would see ways that in the near possible future,
then we shouldn't
all suffering should
we shouldn't be wrong when other government also pass, the government that passed put electricity, water, and extension of rural electricity. We shouldn't also say they didn't do anything. If this is what they claim is the best they are doing in the short term, then it means that all the other government that passed, whatever they have touched on, for example, rural electrification project, fiber optic distribution across the country, it's a foundation for digitalization.
Yes.
So nobody should, current government should not say the other government didn't do anything.
Oh, okay.
And one of the indiscipline is talking about a government who has not done anything, but meanwhile, they have done something.
Well,
I mean, it's part of indiscipline.
Right.
Because you are seeing it. And you are not transparent enough to tell the Ghanaians that it is true that fiber optic system, digital villages were set up, and you don't want to say it, then you are not transparent yourself.
Right.
But you want somebody to believe what you are doing. How would they trust you if you condemn somebody's own? When I use this figure to do like this for you, the rest, it goes to where?
It goes to you.
So one of the transparency and discipline issues is not as Ghanaians to condemn other people when they do certain things. We should praise them when praise is due and leave the rest for the public to judge.
Right. Finally, the budgets that we hear the finance minister read, the economic policy that we hear him read, have they just become, a formality and a waste of time? Because at the end of the day, like you put it, we are not disciplined to go exactly by the economic policy. We end up borrowing outside the economic policy to adjust the proposed spending of the government. Now, when you listen to several other economists, they say that it is a budget of expenditure and not a budget of raking in some, returns. How do we move away from what has become a norm? I mean, just a facade.
And also, we cannot be a country without budget.
Okay.
The other one is, it cannot be avoided. Otherwise, we'll see more fiscal indiscipline.
Okay.
than
worse than we are
we're
seeing. Okay.
But it's halfway good for us to have a budget. At least something is being done, policy is being done. We have to follow it. The budget is a plan for a country to thrive or move in a fiscal year. That one is a good thing. What I think as an economist is that the way we discipline ourselves within the confines of our own setting, we have set the budget. How we discipline ourselves to achieve the budget, to achieve the budget targets, and come out with not deficit, but marginal. You have a margin that is reasonable. Is discipline. The discipline, the fiscal discipline aspect is very important. Imagine I'm giving contract. I'm going to give a contract, and I give that contract to a party cronies, and they didn't implement the budget. They didn't implement the contract, but they have come for the money, and nothing to show for building toilet facility. What does that mean?
Certainly, as obvious as it is.
It's causing financial loss to the state. And in a way, it affects the budget. Because there's nothing to show. So, the key thing that is important is we should be disciplined.
But I mean, this is an internal document. And the economic policy.
Yeah.
It's an internal document for the nation, for the governing of the nation.
Yes.
And in
but it's for me and you.
Oh, yes, it's internal. It bothers all Ghanaians.
It bothers all Ghanaians. If people don't want to read, you can go and collect the budget and read and see what is in the budget.
In international relations, countries do not so much delve into the administration of other countries. However, when we are indisciplined in fiscal policy, we tend to go out to international, as the name suggests, monetary funds to seek money or to seek some form of help. Can these institutions come in to help ensure discipline in our fiscal policy?
The World Bank does. The World Bank does.
To what extent?
To what extent? If the World Bank has a country representative here, and whatever we do in terms of budget and whatever we do in terms of analyzing the economy, they do advise government. That one I can assure you.
I believe that the advice goes into the preparation and
it's not the preparation.
Perhaps
you've seen that the World Bank has come out recently and say the way Ghana is borrowing, they should be very careful.
Exactly.
I
mean, they can only bring these things as a form of warnings whatsoever. We're looking at international organizations that can actually, demand accountability. Perhaps for the sake of the Ghanaians.
Because we are sovereign states.
So this is it. International relation policy.
We can only seek for such technicalities.
Right.
Yes, we can seek for such technicalities. And then we can bring in experts to help in supporting, in doing these things and measuring. But it means that we are being colonized again.
Well, Doc, thank you very much for your time this morning. We're expecting to hear the 2022 budget reading.
Don't make attempt of bringing me.
We will come in. We will bring you so that we'll look into it. We will dissect it properly, and it's not going to take just one day. It's going to take AM Ghana. It's going to take PM Ghana. We'll look into it. So let's expect to hear the 2022 budget and economic policy of the government of Ghana either on 15th or 17th November. Moving on from there, we'll look into those aspects. Remember, we've had hints about increments in the entire budget, hints about increments into offsetting debts. Some suggestions are coming in that we should look into health contingency plans as well. Contingency plans, yes, we need them. I'll look into it when time comes. I've been speaking to Dr. Julius Kweku Nkata. He's an economist and an international economic consultant as well. And we've been speaking about the role of fiscal policy in ensuring fiscal discipline. We've realized and learned those aspects in our dealings that contributes to indiscipline, fiscal indiscipline. And we would only be able to stay strong as a country and also reduce the burden of the people if we remain disciplined to our fiscal policies. The conversation has not ended yet. This is where we wrap up on AM Ghana this morning. We hope to see you tomorrow with some other interesting conversations. Until then, my name is Reginald Eddy, and I've been doing this with Juliana Ejoma. Stay out of trouble and live your best. It's a new day, a new week. Be productive and make the best out of it. Have a lovely day.